this is the one at their place.
Hope the air conditioner works.
He never replied to me. I had just made the assumption that he would be here. He's always here.
Do y'all want to wait just a couple of minutes for Mr. Chambers to get here, to get started? Is that, you think he's running a couple minutes behind? Or do y'all want to go ahead and get started?
Fine with me to wait?
To wait?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
It's true.
Any grass fires on here?
Not one way, not yet.
So is Alaska good?
Yes.
What's the water holding up?
As long as nobody breaks anything.
Yeah.
We're all right. We're putting our one well back together today. That one that's been down for a couple of months. So if we get that back up and running, we'll be in great shape. But
Buying any city water?
yeah, we're going right up the a day from Tyler.
I got a buddy lives, him and his wife live over near Glen Rose. Had that big fire over there, and that sucker went right around his house.
Did it really?
Yeah, all the way around it. And he was
Scary.
just really amazing.
Was he there?
Yeah, he was there. He didn't leave. He was out there watering the grass,
Yeah.
you know. Wow. He has a well in town, but it went all the way around him. But he saw it was coming and started watering like 2 days prior, and so he had his ground pretty wet. And
Yeah.
it singed he had a couple big pecan trees. They were singed pretty good, but all the way around the house.
So scary.
Is it watering what day?
I think so. I mean, he's lucky he had the water, because nobody else did.
Are there term limits here?
Yes, 2 years.
And then you can do 2 more?
That's right. That's right. It's coming up October. In fact, October's gonna be not only important in this town, but important across the whole Fruity Swing. Big time. Big time.
Oh, I don't know if you heard me.
So
Tom
we
got
should
called
have
into a
big
meeting
voter
and
turnout
can't be
here.
here.
Okay, Tom's gonna come.
Because it's so important, you know, coming up.
I think Tom's got the tiger by the tail now.
It should be a big voter turnout every single time. That's all we got. That's all we got.
What do we average in Texas, 50%?
Yeah, I think the last election, I think what we had a bond issue, right? Tyler ISD, 9% voter turnout. 9, not 20. So, hey, whatever. I like to come to these meetings just to see what they have to eat.
Yeah. Good stuff.
I'm not listening, needs to start coming up with that. Speaking of, it's not.
Your meetings will last longer if you change it.
I'm bringing fruit this time. Oh, shoot.
So Charles, who was the mayor when you first started?
originally, way back, it was Dale, right?
Right after that.
And then after that, it was,
Oh, really? Just a little
was
hand.
it Suzanne?
Was Mike Gray before Dale ran?
Mike was before, then it was Dale again, and then
Then
Dale got off, and then
Suzanne.
it was Suzanne, and then it was Danny Ogden.
That's what I was trying to think.
Yeah, and then I got off.
There he is.
I only did one term in
John?
Dale, and then I got off. And didn't come back till 2008.
Oh, okay. How you doing?
Okay. We ready? Okay. I'd like to call to order the City of White House Economic Development Corporation meeting on July 21st, 2022. It is 12:05. Susan, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Bob Breedlove.
Here.
Charles Parker.
Here.
Carly LaFleur. John Chambers.
Here.
Maria Davenport.
Here.
And Jerry Akins. Here. We have a quorum.
Great. Item B is the consent agenda, the approval of the minutes of the EDC meeting on May 12th, 2022. Everyone should have a copy of that. Any questions, or otherwise I'll entertain a motion.
Recommend approval.
Motion, second.
Second.
Second by Maria. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. Item C, presentations. I don't see that we have anything. Item D is public forum. This is the opportunity for people to come in and speak to us for about 3 minutes, following the rules and on non-agenda related items. Mr. Michael Lowe has, Councilman Michael Lowe has signed in and would like to come speak to us today. So, Mr. Lowe, if you'll come to the microphone and tell us what's on your mind, sir.
Well, I got my stopwatch, so I'll be appropriate in all form. Michael Lowe, 103 Memory Lane. First off, I want to thank every one of you, including staff, for being here today, because it's taken time out of your careers. I'm retired, I thought, but really appreciate it from a grateful city. I'm reading a book right now. It's called Agents of Economic Development. It's Scott Martinez, that is, and it's just fascinating, loaded full of all kinds of stuff. Just a few things to read from the book. Change brings opportunity. Every community should have a living, breathing, strategic economic development plan, which we've got, or we're fixing to have, which translates into giving meaningful value and implementing actions. Emphasis on execution rather than fluff. Good processes produces good results. Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid. I like this little deal here. Sundance said to Butch, "Which way?" Butch states, "It doesn't matter. I don't know where we've been, and I've just been there." We have great schools in this community. We have low crime. Think about it, y'all. Everybody in America wants that. You're not gonna stop the growth. I mean, I moved over here from Shreveport after 40 years to be closer to family, and another extra gift was getting to move to East Texas. And I didn't want to just sit down and do nothing. I wanted to contribute because I felt like I'm lucky to be in the great state of Texas. Attitude is everything. It's everything. And like I said, I'm always going to appreciate the work of other people. Never will I not appreciate the work of other people and tell them thank you, because you are called volunteers. Okay? A couple of other things in reading the book. The book is just outstanding. These little takeaways. Just do it. Nike nails it. Nike shoes, they nail it. Quit sitting around and complaining and talking about it. Just do it. That's not easy. But if you write it down, oftentimes it's weird about life. If I say it, that's one thing, but if I write it down, it's just weird, extra. Finally, every organization, this is on page 124, every organization with the economic development function should have a working strategy to meet with their key existing companies in a community at least once a year, and the meeting should follow a process which will also accomplish several objectives. Oh, just ran out of time, see, but again, seriously, thank you from me on the city council for everything you do. Let me know if I can help you out. I'm retired, like I said, I have a little extra time, business is slow right now due to the heat, but thank you from a grateful person, appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilman Lowe. Okay, no one else signed in. Moving on to item E, which is agenda items. Number one is discuss, consider, finalize, approve the 2022 to 2025 work plan prepared by TG Mullins Consulting and set up subcommittees as outlined in the plan that will assist with both the short and long-term economic growth of the city. Who wants to start?
I'll do a little bit of background and then we can kind of turn it over to Tom. As you all remember, I guess about a month and a half ago, we met with Mr. Mullins and started kind of hashing out a work plan for the next couple of years. He has presented or drafted that plan, and it was included in your packet and I think sent under separate cover for you all to review. In that plan, there are about 4 different areas. One for retention and expansion, new and small business development, attraction and marketing, and incentives, infrastructure, and quality of life. And each of those have some tasks underneath. Tom and I have not talked about this, but I would like to see us set up a subcommittee for each one of those areas to start working on those tasks, and we'll assign a staff member to each one, and I think that'll help keep us moving forward on that. But with that, I will turn it over to Mr. Mullins.
Good afternoon. Good to see you all again.
Thanks for being
It's
here.
always encouraging when most of you come back the second time. Well, I think we're off to a good start. You know, the day that we met and had the whiteboard up and got input from everybody, it really kind of fell naturally into a classic economic development outline that involves things you just have to do: retention, expansion, small business development, marketing and attraction, and then creating a toolbox so you have some incentives and some other tools to work with to put projects together and make things happen. So, you know, I understand that you got that distributed to you. You all had a chance to look at it. I don't think there were a lot of major changes. One thing that Leslie and I talked about was that some of the timelines might be aggressive.
Yeah, I thought so.
Well,
I brought that up to Leslie. I was like, wow, that's
Yeah.
aggressive.
yeah. Well, and you know, that's not something that can't be worked on. It makes an assumption that probably isn't fair, and that is that you have a full-time person paying attention to these work elements. And we don't. You know, you have parts of people, you have volunteers and parts of staff people. And you know, the contract that I have with you is going to last for a while. And I feel that I can be here to meet with the subcommittees, to talk about how to get started in each one of those elements. I have examples of retention surveys that we can use as models and figure out how we want to proceed on that. And that's true with every one of the categories, because I think that's really why you hired me, because I have the background that I have in economic development. I know how to put a structure together. I know how it works. You know, Bob was on our economic development board with the Tower EDC, and I've worked closely with he and his partner Ray Goodrow for 30 years. Long time. And it went from, you know, setting out a direction you want to go in, and then putting the pieces together and working it, and then giving feedback to your economic development group and ultimately to your city council and your mayor. And Michael's right, I hadn't seen that book, but he says it's based on the Tupelo, Mississippi model. Tupelo's a fairly small population center, it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, right? But they have a well-earned national reputation for really setting lofty goals and getting the right talent in place, even if they're recruited from distant parts of the country, and getting everybody in the leadership talking about going in the same direction. And that's just critical to have a path, write it down, get people to buy in, and then start taking it on piece by piece. So that's where we're at. And I didn't know if you had questions about particular sections. Leslie, were you thinking about trying to form the subcommittees today, or just kind of announcing the fact that you're going to be calling people in the middle of the night?
I think if we can form them, or at least begin the discussion, we have 2 members that aren't here today.
So there's the 2 automatic chairs.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah, that's the
right.
chairs.
In charge of something, so, but yeah, anything we can do to kind of get that settled so that we can get moving. We've kind of been talking about getting a strategic plan and work plan together for a long time, so I think if we can at least get a general idea of who wants to be on which subcommittee, that would be helpful, and we can start working on scheduling this.
Yeah, because everybody has a different interest, you know, they can say, I know something about this, I'm interested in learning more about that. And then it's still very typical and acceptable for you to go to other resource people in the community and pull them into those subcommittees. You don't have to populate the subcommittees all by yourself. You know there's somebody in real estate and in banking and in other legal, whatever. You pick a professional area of expertise, and really you're going to do a better job if you pull that kind of talent in around you. So I'd be happy to work with you through the process and then come back and meet with the subcommittees as they kick off and start trying to figure out where do we start, how do we start.
Okay.
Do you want us to volunteer?
Well, I don't know how else he wants to do it. If you've got a sign-up sheet with a committee title on it, and you can just let people put their names on what they're interested in, or if people already have an idea of what they want to do.
Do y'all have an idea of which ones you wanna do?
I do.
Okay. Which ones were you thinking of?
First of all, the retention expansion, and secondary, small business
Okay.
development.
Another, I can go get that. I printed 2 by mistake.
Bob, you wanna be on, incentives, infrastructure, and quality of life?
That'd be great.
If you don't volunteer, I'll voluntold.
Yeah.
Don't care?
Whichever one you tell.
Which one's gonna be the hardest, you think?
Attraction.
What are you doing?
Nothing's really easy about this, let me
Yeah.
tell you. Every part of it's gonna have some challenges.
Okay, why don't we do this, since you all maybe don't have an idea just yet, why don't you take it, look at it, think if you know of anybody in the community that you think would be a good fit to join us on those subcommittees, and if you'll send those names to me. Okay?
How many people do you think we should have? 5?
On a subcommittee, I'd say at least 5, because, you know, anytime you meet, somebody's got a conflict.
Right.
You know, you don't wanna be sitting around with just 2 people talking to each other.
Yeah, that makes it really bad.
Yeah.
I would think 5 to 7, and we've had, I know the last time, I think we put a charter review committee together, I think we put 7 on there and 2 did it, and it didn't go over very well.
Here's a good example.
I mean, that's,
Yeah. And you know, they're gonna ask you stuff like, how much time is involved in this?
Yeah.
And I'd say that, you know, you should probably expect at least the first couple of meetings to be maybe 30 days apart. Because you might not get the whole work program agreed to in just one. And here's another thing I've learned since I moved to Texas, you never have a meeting more than an hour on anything. And so we're gonna respect their time that way. But then then after that, I think the subcommittees meet every other month or quarterly. And then, you know, this whole program of work, I've got you out to 2025. But it could go, because some of these projects are gonna require potentially a local election, you know what goes into that. I mean, there's some things that might get pushed out a year or two beyond that. But these committees, in my view, become standing committees, and they do their hard work and then report back their progress to this committee whenever you have your meetings scheduled. But right now, you're on what, bi-monthly?
Monthly usually.
You're monthly?
Didn't meet last month because of vacation schedules.
Sure, some kind of stuff.
But I would say that each committee probably needs to meet at least monthly. I mean, with the limited staff that we have, it's gonna be a lot of volunteer effort involved, if we're gonna get these things accomplished. Like, staff alone can't get this program of work done on our own, so, at least monthly, if not, maybe a little bit more frequently,
So how many
depending on what we have going on.
so how many committees total are we looking at?
Four.
Right.
So,
So can I pull in Jeff Tomlin on the infrastructure?
Jeff Tomlin is retiring. His last day will be September 9th.
Now, he's been saying that for a long time.
No, no.
Really,
His last
really, truly, no.
our new public works director will start
So,
Monday.
so you're saying he'll have a lot of time on his hands?
That's kind of what I heard.
And all that experience and knowledge?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it'll definitely be a big loss. But
Maybe he.
he's retiring. So,
Huh.
Have you got a new?
Did he not read the fine print in his contract about how he's still on call?
it starts Monday.
That feels pretty similar
we need
to
to
the
wait.
Willy Wonka. Good day, sir.
I'll
I
find
said good
somebody
day.
will-
He's retired. He's
So
out.
like the Hotel California, you can check out, but
You
you
can
can
never
never
leave.
leave.
That's it. I have a lot of ideas of names.
And I think those subcommittees could meet virtually. I don't know that it has to be an in-person meeting
Right.
when we do that, so it's
Oh,
not
that's
a
a good
matter of
thought.
having to leave the office and do that. I think we can meet, via Teams or something.
That would help, yeah.
That'll ease that.
And keep in mind too, there are gonna be some opportunities where the subcommittees are gonna want some community input. You've got a plan of action that you're recommending and you wanna reach out and get that. So you might be open to scheduling some evening meetings.
I think when you get around to talking about sales tax reallocation and things like that, yeah, I think that's gonna require a little broader input.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the idea. Everybody email names of volunteers and their contact information, if you would, to Leslie, I guess, and then we'll see who can volunteer for what, or if you want to reach out on your own and ask if they would be interested first, so that we're not all making cold calls.
So we have a board kind of volunteer form. I can kind of revise it a little bit for these subcommittees and send that all out to you, because if one of you knows this person and the other doesn't, we may need to get a little background or at least enough talking points to
I think
talk
that
about
would
who
be
they
good.
are. So I'll send that out to you, hopefully by close of business tomorrow. And then if you can get them kind of back into me, help me get those back from some volunteers, that would be good.
Okay. Have we formally adopted this plan? Then we probably should take the action of actually doing that first before we get carts before horses. So, I will just go ahead and make the motion that we approve the 2022-2025 work plan prepared by TG Mullins Consulting. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Maria. I'm gonna do a roll call.
Bob Breedlove,
Hi.
Charles Parker,
Yes.
John Chambers,
Yes.
Maria Davenport,
Yes.
and Jerry Akins.
Yes.
And let the record show that it approved unanimously. So, we have a plan. Officially.
Just a question, I think I sent you a version without the big draft across it. Do you still have that? Or
I'll have to check.
if you don't, let me know.
Okay.
I'll send you a clean one.
Sounds good.
I think we have a good starting point. I think the committees are gonna drive this more than anything else.
Well, and they're not meeting in a vacuum. They've got an agenda already.
Right.
They've got projects that they can jump into, so it's not gonna be a roundtable from this point forward. It's implementing a plan of action.
Right. Right. It's not like everybody's grasping at straws thinking,
Not at
what
all.
do we do? It's,
That's right.
this is where we're going.
And I think as you're reaching out to people, you know, that may be a good fit for a subcommittee, sending that to them at the same time and saying,
Well, yeah.
I think you'd be really great on this subcommittee. Here's kind of the goals that we have for that. I think that always helps too, for people to understand what's being expected and
Yeah,
asked of
good
them
point.
too. So I'll kind of give you some background and I'll attach that with it and make it one document. We can go from there.
As far as the subcommittee goes, rules on citizenship, do they need to all be citizens of
For
White
economic
House?
development corporations, that's not required, so even for a subcommittee, because they're not an acting body, I mean, they're not passing any legislation, they're not taking a vote on anything, they do not.
Right.
And they're not allocating any city
Right.
resources.
Right. They're not spending any city money. So,
Well, that opens the doors up a lot.
yeah, I was just trying to make sure that everything's on the table.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know what government restrictions you had on committees and subcommittees. If you've got that flexibility, that can attract some new talent.
I mean, we can't have a quorum of this body, obviously,
Right.
but they're pretty much advisory committees, no different than like the library board or, you know,
Right.
some others.
And it would be the same, we can't have a, you know, you can't go take a quorum of the school board or
Right.
the city council or, you know, whatever else. I mean,
So I'm assuming all of these, excuse me, the subcommittees are still subject to the open meetings notifications.
I would argue that they're not, that they're advisory in nature.
Okay,
And that they're not policy-making bodies,
okay.
so.
Yeah, they're not part of an official board, they're more of a recommendation committee, subcommittee that,
So any recommendation would come back to this body.
Sure.
So.
so there's no official action that they're gonna be able to take.
I would agree, yes.
Yeah, so that allows a lot broader flexibility.
Right, in your membership, your meeting availability, we wouldn't be able to meet virtually if it were an open meetings body, not easily anyway,
Right.
so.
Right. Okay. Tom, I tell you, I really like the simplicity and the way that you put this together.
Well, thank you. You remember when you and Leslie and I met in her office months before before I had a contract with you.
Right.
We kind of agreed that this is the way to go. Just keep it very simple and clear and measurable. Stay away from theory.
Right.
And what I like particularly about this is that this document, even though I helped you with the format and the layout, you created it. It was stuff that you all had an interest in working on, and we populated this structure with your idea, which gets us off to a strong ownership.
Yeah, and it's not 200 pages of who knows what. It's just,
We've got shelves all over city halls in the country with 200-page documents that no one's ever read.
with an inch of dirt on them.
Yeah. Well, and Bob will remember from coming to our board meetings with the Economic Development Council. When they met, we reported back to them how we were doing on this annual program of work, because we updated it every year, and we told them how we were doing, accomplishing the elements. So, and then that all fed into an annual report. We said we were going to do this year. Here's how we put it together. Here's where we're at.
Okay.
You know, and this one area too that's in here that I had an interest in, another project and Michael touched on it too, the fact that you guys have such a good school reputation here and the potential for starting some major initiatives in partnership with the school, for example, a business education council. I really hope, I forget which committee that would serve under, but that's something that has potential for bringing the companies like Jasper, Train, and some of the other players who have a very strong interest in this community being successful too, because their kids, a lot of their children, sometimes grandchildren, are going to school and they want White House to be successful. You get those employers talking to the educators with guidance from the Economic Development Group. That's a powerful combination.
I see a lot of potential. Always have for White House. It's just completely untapped.
And that falls under both attraction and retention.
You bet.
big time.
Absolutely becomes a marketing tool, because ultimately, you know, over the years, I've observed that a lot of times a company that's looking at your area, they won't talk to the person who's being paid to sell the area, because they know what that person's going to do. They're going to give them a marketing sale pitch. But they will talk to the people who are trying to operate a business here, and they'll ask, what's the attitude in the community towards business and growth, and what kind of workforce do you have? I mean, they want to get it from the people who are in the trenches. And then that's done with the retention effort to get to know those employers, find out what their issues are, help them with those issues, and then they become part of your marketing team. Whether they know it or not.
What else? Anybody have any questions, other comments, thoughts?
I just think it's exciting. We're ready to go.
Okay. Tom, I thank you very much, sir. We'll
You're very welcome.
We'll circle back around after we put some names and lists together, and
And you have some other agenda items, do I need to
I don't think
be
so.
involved with any of
No.
those? And then I'll let you go to your other work.
Thank
Good
you.
to see you all.
thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate you so much.
Do you control this?
I do.
You, well, that's important, some reasons, isn't it?
Okay, moving on to agenda item 2, discussion and planning of the business after hours event.
I'll turn it over to Stephanie.
Alright, so in 2 weeks, we have our first business after hours event. It's gonna be on August 2nd from 4 to 6. It's at the TAVA office, which is off Grande, and we can send out a reminder for that. So you guys have the address and everything. Gotten all the door prizes, and they have the logo on them. There's a couple over here on the table. I just have to grab a couple of gift cards for local restaurants, and we'll be good with that. After that, the next one is gonna be the one we're having here at Jasper. It's again from 4 to 6 p.m. They are gonna try to have their board meeting here to bring their board members down here and try to entice more people to come down. Jasper's been pretty great to work with. They literally will do anything to help us get it all set up, so they've been awesome. We're gonna have some tables brought in, and I think it'll be good. As far as catering, had a little trouble finding somebody, but I talked to Emiliano about getting catering from Mr. Thompson. So he is getting back with me to have some options for some small type food, heavy appetizers, things like that we can have there at the event.
What is the date for that second one?
The second one's gonna be on September 6th. I can send out that information too.
Okay.
But otherwise, pretty much everything for that's already done, right? Unless you have anything
For
else.
that part of it, but Susan, you wanna talk about the
Mhm.
maps that you've put out?
Put maps out for everyone. These are the maps that I worked on when we first started talking about this. And I realized those don't look as pretty as what we would want, but when we first started, I sent one over to EdCog, to their GIS person, and she took this first page that y'all should have, which is our northern border, and she made this for us. And so if y'all are good with this, I will see about having her make these for each one of those
Very nice.
Yeah, so you're finding any undeveloped,
Presents
larger
much better.
parcels.
Yeah, I knew what I could do would not look as neat and clean as what she could do. But this is the working map.
She put the ETJ on there,
On the first,
Tyler ETJ and all that.
after hours.
There's some of that.
It does not show the ETJ. I can ask her to put that on there.
You can probably get that from the city of Tyler or from the.
Oh, that
President.
she
She
has
has
it.
it,
She has
it's on
it.
their GIS mapping system already.
So what is, at these meetings, what are we gonna be expected to do?
So this is a meeting with the Tyler Area Builders Association, so it's mainly home developers. And the idea, it's really just kind of a networking event for them, but they allow someone to come and host it every month. And so the idea is that we just remind them that White House is here. It's a great place to build and develop. Stephanie and I were talking this morning, we need to put together some sort of slide deck that can be playing during the event, that will talk about some things like the Encore demographic info that they have that we've linked, on our website. Some things talking about, that we have a higher than average income in White House, that we have a great school, all the things that sell our community. So we'll work on putting something like that together. But really, it's just a way to remind builders that we're here, that we may not be in the forefront of their minds on some things, so. Charles, anything to add on that one?
Well, I think, to go with that, the developers, the people that have all come in here so far, and it's been great, but they're all wanting to build, I guess, what you would call starter homes, more or less. And that's bread and butter, easy money for these developers. I don't know how we bridge that gap to the next step, to where we get the larger homes that are in here, because those are gonna be your longer term permanent residents of your community. People that are in starter homes, they're gonna be more transient. As their kids get older, they're more likely to leave, and they're gonna come here just for the schools, and a lot of those properties will migrate into rental property. And so, there's some challenges with some of that. And whereas if you get the larger homes, and I realize that's a bigger challenge, because the developer wants they time and everything's money, and it's harder to sell a larger home. It takes more effort and more time and everything that goes with that. So, I would kind of like our messaging to at least mention that we would be a lot more interested in taking the next step, not that we want to turn down development, and certainly what we've done so far has been very good, and we've added a lot of valuation and a lot of people. So we've expanded our employee base. But the fact of the matter is that our average income is higher than everywhere else around here, and we should be able to support those types of homes. And I think there are people that come here looking and wind up in Bullard because we don't have what Bullard has to offer. And I think that's our challenge.
So we do have one proposed development that's gonna go before, it went to P and Z on Tuesday, it'll go before council this coming Tuesday. 2,200 to 2,800 square foot lots, but he said the same thing, that we have a lot of inventory, not necessarily on the market, but a lot of inventory of that, kind of 1,600 to 2,000 square foot home, but not really any neighborhoods that have above that. And so, it comes with its own set of challenges with lot size and lot coverage and setbacks and some of those kinds of things, but, we're hopeful that they can be successful and show that we can support a market, kind of in that next step, maybe your second home or your third home.
Now, is this is this developer, I mean, he's looking at the larger lots and as well as the larger square footage, or?
It's 8,200 square foot lots, and yeah. So it's, yeah, it'll be interesting.
Wow.
So just to interject, what is the deal with the Iron Hill RV Park?
It's outside the city.
It is outside the city? Okay.
So I don't know.
Okay. That answered the question. I thought it was inside.
I think the idea is to let them know that we are here, we're open for business, and, you know, unlike other places around, we really do want them to come. And I think the idea of being able to put on a good front and presenting open door policy is our overall goal.
And that we have the utilities to support the development. I mean,
Right.
these larger parcels that are identified, we can fairly easily support their utilities with water and sewer. That's a really important piece when you start talking to developers. I mean, they're not gonna have to go a long way to connect. They're gonna have to connect their own development, but most of it, I think, is pretty easily connected to existing infrastructure that we have.
But networking is the key. So it's the ability to shake hands and meet people and talk to them about White House and get to know them and invite them to come visit us. And that's the thing. And then show them what we've got available and keep it short and simple and light and friendly, and that's pretty much the way I see the agenda working. But I think the maps are key, and I think having any other data on a slideshow or things that people can look at, I think visual aids are really important in those kind of things.
Quality of life, snapshots.
Yep. Yeah, because if they think it's somewhere they would wanna live, then we have a whole lot better chance of at least building houses for other people here.
Well, in talking to other developers that have been trying to build in Tyler for quite a while, certainly there's a lot of advantages that we have that Tyler doesn't. I mean, it's really funny, you know, somebody here may gripe about not being able to get inspection when they call Friday afternoon at 4 o'clock. But, you know, in Tyler, when you call Friday afternoon at 4, you're gonna get it next Friday at 4. You know, so, you know, there's some unrealistic expectations by some of our developers, I think, and I hear them complaining about it, and I'm like, why don't you look at Tyler and see how that works out? And I think they'll, you know, I think our service overall far exceeds what they get in other places, and I think not afraid to talk about that.
Yeah.
And the red tape, just going through it, not building a house, but the red tape of doing a development is a lot less down here than it is up there too.
Exactly. A lot less. I mean, you're pretty well looking at the committee. It's all in this room, so it's not like a lot of hands have to touch it.
That's right.
Most days that makes Susan crazy.
She's got a hard job. She's got a hard job, and developers want what they want, and you know, having known and been around these guys, I mean, time is money, and they do get frustrated.
Yeah.
But and I get that, but I think when you compare again what we do in streamlining things and to help and to bend over to help them even more, as compared to, you know, other places around here, that they're not getting the same level of customer service, and you know, I think, you know, it doesn't hurt to say, you know, you go in there and be sweet to those girls. There's no telling what they'll do. I
I don't know
use
any
that
other
right.
city that
That came out all wrong.
I don't know any other cities that are
I'm going
issuing
back to my
COs on the
sensitivity.
holidays or
Yeah.
sick days, so.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
wow. I apologize.
We'll make sure you have some clear talking points for. But Susan and Stephanie have done a great job putting all that together.
Seriously.
Nice recovery. Anyway, those are kind of my thoughts on this. Y'all have done a great job with the maps and everything. Is there any other data that y'all believe we should be included in there?
So these maps are about developable plots and land.
Yeah, this is about ownership, who owns what and where it's at.
Susan, on that one that you have, it's mainly size, right, of the parcel?
Yeah, it's just the size of the parcel.
And will this be in some sort of a list format as well, like 3 acres available at such and such a place, or, you know, that kind of a thing, so that, or who the contact would be, or anything like that? I'm just,
Well, these aren't on the market,
They're
so
not.
I don't feel like I
Oh,
have
got
permission
you.
to
No.
give out contact information.
are there any that are on the market that could be listed?
I can take a look and see. My fear is that things are selling so fast, anything
Right.
we could put together. I only know of one large parcel right now that's on the market, and that's at the back of Shahan Ranch. It's about 33 acres, I think. That's for sale. That's the only one that I know of that's currently on the market, but without knowing exactly where they are, and, you know, I don't know if it's up to date online.
Sure.
I hate to put that out there and start really trying to sell it without, I'd rather just say, if you have questions about a specific parcel and you want some help, please feel free to reach out to city staff. Cause we will cold call if we know somebody is truly interested in a property.
Right. Would it help if we polled any of the commercial agents in the area, and I'm happy to do that, to see if there's anything currently?
We could, I get, all of Drake's listings.
I think the idea is to plant the seed and generate interest. We're not here to drive the market necessarily or influence real estate sales. And I think that's a fine line. We kind of have to walk between, you know, we want you to come here, we want you to build here, we want you to do great things here, but we can't tell you what to buy or who to influence or drive prices or become a realtor and advertise for them. We can just show them the properties of where they're at. But they can also go to SCAD themselves, and they know how to do that.
They're gonna
And-
know much better than
And
us.
they're gonna have an idea of who owns what and what prices that they're looking at and so forth. You know, most of the bigger pieces of real estate that have sold around here have never gone on the market.
Yep.
So it's related to that, but I'm gonna show a little bit of my ignorance here because I don't know how this process works. But like as we talk about wanting people to voluntarily annex, right? Is there a strategy to get development in those key areas so that they will want to annex? Like, so there has to be, in my mind, there has to be some sort of incentive for people to do that on the forefront. And it seems like this may be the audience where that's appropriate, but I'm not.
Yeah, so the incentive for a developer to wanna come in the city is that they don't have to put in septic systems, because septic systems require so much more space on your lot, that if you can connect to sewer, you can make your lots smaller, so your income your profit per acre goes up significantly. So that's really the only kind of carrot that we have, are utility services, to get development in the city. Otherwise, they'll just stay outside the city and build whatever they want. They don't have to comply with setbacks and street standards.
Inspections,
They do
things
have to
like that.
require or comply
Yeah,
with certain subdivision standards.
And we're pretty
It's
easy to
very
work with on expanding our sewer offering to those areas, or is that?
Well, I think we have some strategic opportunities, especially going south down 110. There are some large parcels undeveloped heading south out of town that I think we would be willing to at least explore the idea of expanding our our sewer to the south, because if we're gonna annex, that's the only room that we have.
So that would be like, I'm gonna throw it out there and say, it seems to me that that could be an interesting proposition to the builders as well. That we would be willing to entertain expanding our sewer infrastructure for development to the south. And that may incentivize some of that conversation, or not incentivize, facilitate some of that
Well,
conversation.
I think those are definitely good talking points, because I'm relatively sure both the city council and the EDC would be willing to support, the expansion and investment of infrastructure into our ETJ and other areas that are undeveloped to be able to drive things forward.
Yeah, y'all are smarter than me as to how that would work and how you would, put it out there, but
So usually the way that would work is if a developer is interested in a property, they will call us and ask if utilities are readily available for that property, or if not, how close are they? And that would be the time where we would say, well, it's all the way up at X street, but for this type of development, this size of development, it's certainly worth a conversation to look at expanding it. And I think we could, because we've done that, we have one that we've been talking to that we were willing to find a way to get them connected.
would you not want it in our open house or whatever we're calling it?
I think the talking point would be, more so that most of these parcels are in close proximity to existing utilities that can support their development.
Okay,
And then we can handle, if it's to the south, we can work that through later specifically. Cause I don't wanna make the promise that, yeah, we can connect you, and then they'll pick the one parcel that we can't, that we've gotta do a
I hear you.
$5 million lift station on or something, I don't know. So,
Yeah, it's kind of a tightrope a little bit. I think we just wanna say that we have the infrastructure and the capacity to handle the growth. We've got a sewer plant that can handle almost twice the volume that it has right now. So, not every community gets to say that. We're fully supported with well system. We have a backup water contract with the city of Tyler. We have water and sewer available. You're able to do a one-stop shop with all your utilities by coming in through the city of White House. And now as far as, maybe gas and electricity and internet and all of those kind of things, that's a separate maybe ball of wax, but being able to get water and sewer is probably the top two concerns of most developers. And the difference between, in case you didn't know, you have to have a half-acre lot to be able to put in a septic system. So if you sit there and think about, you've got, 100 acres of land, that's, the density of being able to do that, and then you figure in whatever contours and terrain, you're not gonna be able to squeeze as many properties in that size of a market if you're having to do septic. So, just the math doesn't work.
yeah, if you're developing a true 100 acres at half-acre lot, 200 homes versus 400 for quarter-acre lots, that's that profit margin.
Right.
I understand.
Yeah, and then you figure in the, of course, they, when you get out in the county, they don't have the inspections. They don't have some of the other hoops that jump through. But then again, a lot of homeowners, want that security of knowing that the house was inspected, that it is up to code, that the wiring is actually done the right way. So those are important things to reassure citizens, and people like that comfort.
I think one of the things that maybe some people don't realize is just how significant it is that a town our size has a full-time fire department. For some reason that goes unnoticed, most of the time, and it's that's a big deal. So, anyway.
And I think our response times are about 4 minutes for both police and fire,
It's amazing.
as opposed to being in a county with 20-25 minute.
I watched my parents' last wall get kicked down on their house because of a fire in the country. So I know response time is. So,
Okay. Okay, anything else? And that meeting again is what date? The first one?
August second, and then the second one is on September sixth, from 4 to 6 p.m.
So we will have a council meeting starting at 6 on August 2nd, so those of us involved in that will be sneaking out of this a little early to get back here for that meeting.
Okay.
And they usually speak about halfway through, so around 5 o'clock is when they said they usually have their president talk about whatever they have going on.
Okay. All right. Good job, everybody. Moving right along to item 3, discuss, consider, and act upon moving the EDC meeting to the third Thursday of each month. Leslie has her good excuse.
So I've been accepted to do Leadership Tyler for their upcoming class, and so their meetings are on the same Thursday that your meetings are on right now, so I wanted to see if it would work for your schedules. I mean, I hate to do it just for mine, but if we could switch your EDC meetings to the third Thursday of the month. It would also allow us to be putting EDC packets together on a week that is not a council packet week.
So it's not just for her.
Yeah, it's for Susan's sanity too. And so if that is agreeable to y'all, we would like to move them to the third Thursday of the month.
Definitely works for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think we're in general agreement.
Is that a motion that needs
do
to
we
be
need a
made?
motion?
Yeah, that'd be good.
Yep.
I can make it. I'll make the motion to move the meeting to the third Thursday of each month.
Motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion approved. Item 4, consider future agenda items. Do we want to actually approve the committee members that are going on this and have that come back before the board, or are we just accepting volunteers and doing it willy-nilly?
You know, I don't like to do things willy-nilly. I would prefer the board to appoint it.
Okay, so I think that would be number 1, is to approve the committee members.
Got away with words today.
I'm on a roll.
We'll do that. We'll do an after-hours follow-up. Anything we need to change from that one to the next one, we'll talk about that. What else?
That's all I got.
Okay. Well, I'm sure we'll have something come up between now and then, so.
Okay. Anything else? Anybody? Item F is administrative reports, received reports from staff. Sales for taxes look like they continue in a very positive direction.
Direction. All that looks good. We did see things kind of slow down a little bit in July. That's not surprising given what's kind of going on in the economy, both locally and nationally. We are starting to see a little bit of nervousness, I think, on the home builder side of things, kind of starting to slow things down. Bob, I don't know if you're seeing the same.
Not yet.
We still have a lot of development applications, make no mistake, but I do think there is another level of urgency that we're seeing from them, trying to get some things started and hopefully on the market before we see maybe a larger slowdown that could be coming. But again, sales tax continues to be strong. I'm not worried about the longevity of our sales tax numbers. I think COVID did a lot to make sure people are shopping locally, and then with internet sales tax sourcing as well. You can see the top 10 sales taxpayers there. This is confidential information, so I'm not going to name them out loud, but you can see who those are. And the difference that it makes when internet sales tax is sourced to your local community. So those are the big things I have on that. One other item from staff. Last week, Susan and I met with Frontier Communications. The same day we had the fiber feasibility report come back to the city council. And Frontier has indicated that they plan to serve 3,800 homes in the White House area by December 31st, 2022. with 2 gig symmetrical fiber to the home.
2 gig.
Wow.
Where do we sign up?
Frontier.com.
So we did receive their first round of permit applications today or yesterday. So, we've had several stakeholder meetings and we've met with several providers through this fiber feasibility study. And a lot of them said, yeah, we're bringing fiber to White House. You know, there have been some press releases about some companies that are bringing fiber to White House. And so when we met with Frontier, I'll be honest, and I think I even told them I'm a little skeptical. Like, you know, we've heard this song and dance before. Well, they had their construction guys in the room, and they had some maps, knew what was going to be aerial versus buried, and that was on Thursday of last week.
Yes.
And by yesterday afternoon, we had their first set of permits. So, very positive news on the fiber stuff. We did see a map of their coverage area, and they are covering pretty much all developed portions of White House. They had some pockets that weren't gonna be served, but those are undeveloped, currently undeveloped parcels, so we talked about some projects that were in progress, and we'll make those connections with those developers for them, to kind of help facilitate those conversations, to get them in open trench, hopefully, situations. So very positive. We do have another provider, Vexus, has, pulled a permit on the west side of town to start service as well, so.
Is that the same area where Cherokee or whatever it is already servicing?
I don't know of any area, no, Cherokee's on the east side of town, right, I think is,
It's on the
Thinking
west
backwards.
side.
Yeah.
Cherokee's this, out towards the lake, Vexus is coming in on the west
But
side.
Cherokee
Okay.
County is on the,
Are they, haven't
they're on
seen
the
them-
west side
Seen them over there yet, but,
because, Country Place,
oh, I saw that, but they skipped over Quail Run and haven't done anything, but we're on
Really?
Encore, so. If you're on Encore, you're not getting anything from Cherokee
Okay.
County, so.
because my brother lives farther around Magi, and he's signed up for
Is he?
Cherokee County.
They're not offering it at my house, and I'm on the shop, so. I don't know, but Frontier at least has indicated they will be covering almost all of the entire city, so.
What's the connection now with Frontier and Suddenlink?
Isn't one? They're competitors.
They're two separate,
Frontier bought a lot of old Verizon assets, so the Fios stuff. Frontier bought a lot of
Okay.
that.
So, the council started that fiber feasibility study kind of with 3 goals in mind, and the first one was increasing competition. So that's working, whether it's the study or not, I think it may have helped kind of push some things a little bit faster. The other was accessible internet for everyone, I think we'll meet that goal. The third one is giving citizens a voice in the service level that they receive from their provider. I don't know that we have a good solution for that, and so Cobb Finley is preparing a quote to do what's called an RFI, or request for information, to see if there are ways that we as the city can partner with fiber providers to either financially or some sort of agreement, kind of ensure a certain service level for our citizens. I don't know what that result will look like, if it will work or not, but we'll see. But that's kind of the third leg that's still left unanswered, that we're still working with the fiber consultants on, and that we'll continue to kind of pursue over the next couple of months.
Great. That's all positive. Okay, anything else? Okay, I guess we're down to, item G. We don't have anything in executive session, correct?
Correct.
So that brings us to item H, which is nothing, and then item I is adjourned. 1:03.
Are you gonna do a press release on the Frontier thing?
Not yet. Just kind of,
Let them do it, or?
I don't know how much they want us to say.